All right, the inside is roughed out. I started scraping this one already. See how nice and smooth that is. So what I do is, once I get it to where I think it's about close into my measurements, I'll take a scraper card and gently start smoothing and cleaning over all of my sanding marks. And especially with this spruce, it won't take long. But I'll sit here for the next while and just scrape this all clean and get it tidied up. It is so lightweight, but it's already sounding good. And this kind of weirds people out, but people don't realize how thin these tops are and what they need to be to resonate, right? So when this top sings, like when it vibrates, right, and shakes, it has to be able to flex. The back, the sounding board that it goes off of, if I try and wiggle this, it's still kind of stiff even though it's just a couple millimeters thick. This one, you can see the top, how much it can wiggle, right? How flexible that board is now on top, so it can kind of be like a wave, right? Okay, well, I'll tune you back in when this thing is all tidied up. For those that just like the sound of tools, no music here, you can just listen to this work for a little while, but you can hear the difference between the top plate and the back plate next to each other. Stuff is so pretty. I like working with the larger, the harder woods versus the softer woods. Something that has a little bit of a bite to it for a scraper card versus that spruce, which just fuzzes up. Love it. All right, we're at one of the fun milestone parts. I just drew on the F-holes. I laid them out in the right spots. And you'll see we have something called a base bar that'll be going right here. And I always draw mine in to make sure that my F-hole here on the base side doesn't reveal or hit that base bar. So I've got all my measurements in there. I'm going to drill a hole, file out the circles, and then hand cut the shapes here and trim them with a knife. There are other traditional ways of doing it, and then I've seen them as weird as using a jigsaw or scroll saw. That scares me to death, this thing banging around because it's so thin. So I'm just going to drill a hole and widen it out with a file. They make special cutters for those things, but that always stresses me out. I used to actually pre-drill these holes before I shaped the plate. I don't know why I don't do that anymore. Anyways, but I'm going to cut them out now. rib structure right here that I'm going to glue to the back and then put in the label. But I'll show you the printing that you saw earlier on the back. So we have our inlaid window and our portrait of Paul Rosenthal. So this will be viewed through the F-holes. You'll be able to see it, but you won't see it its entirety unless it's ever cracked open by a luthier. Now, the top is a little different. I got a special plan for that. It's gonna have something interesting and unique in there. I would not print anything up here except for just sentimentality because you can't see anything really up there. But this you'll be able to see for a long time to come. So, let's get cracking on gluing the back onto the ribs. So the next step here that I'm working on is making a tailpiece. So this is the piece that has a gut string that goes through the bottom of it to latch onto the end pin, and then the strings come out of this top part to go across the bridge. So step one, I'm going to be making this out of iron bark, the offcut from the fingerboard, which turns out lovely, the color. But I'm going to end up, I just traced this little shape. I'm going to bandsaw it and then shape it like you've seen anything else with a little die grinder. And before I do that though, I'm going to implement some of my holes. So I'll drill these two little holes, but then the rest will be kind of hand carving. So yeah, I won't film some of this. I'm just going to go ahead and shape a lot of this just because you've seen me shape stuff. So we can skip forward and get to the end because there's so much fun stuff to see. But it's not happening yet because I'm filming everything. So yeah, I'm going to film all this in the end once I fine tune it a little bit. But I'll show you where I get to in a little while. I have to teach drawing in 30 minutes. So let me go prep for all that stuff.